going down the model numbers and things, we did touch previously, starting with tubas, just to give you a background of what each of these model numbers mean, and what you can kind of anticipate where you're at. So starting off in tuba land, a lot of people, let's start with B flat tubas. So breaking down a model number in the Eastman line, you always have E in the beginning of it, and that usually starts for Eastman, all right? Yeah. And then B would be for bass, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
And then your next B would be the key of the instrument, correct?
Yeah, if it's B flat or if it's an EBC, it's going to be a C tuba, EB, E flat, or EBF, correct?
Okay. So anybody that's looking for these tubas, your first three letters that you have are going to give you the idea of the model, the key, and all that kinds of stuff. Now, the next three numbers that usually will come after it will give you an idea as to the size of the instrument, I believe, right?
No.
Okay.
There we go. It's going to be more of the level of the instrument.
Okay.
And there's some uniformity that we go for where it would be great if all of our instruments, like our EBC 836 and our EBC 832 or our EBC 632, 3 is always the second number, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what's the third scale degree? It's C. Mm-hmm. So we try and do that, but there are some outliers that have been around longer, like a EBB 534. Mm-hmm. It doesn't fit in that system. So it's not really uniform across the board. But the easier way to think of it is our 800 series instruments are our top end instruments. And it has happened to work out that our larger instrument has had a higher number than our 4/4 instrument, but I don't think that was intentionally planned that way. It just kind of worked. And then as you go down to our 600 and 500 instruments are entry-level professional instruments, and our 400 is going to be intermediate, and then 200 and 300 level instruments are going to be student.
Okay. So for those of you who might be interested in a B-flat instrument, the EBB 534 is your full-size 4/4 B-flat tuba. Then you have your professional, your entry, not your entry, but your professional level 632s, we usually refer to them. So an EBC 632, an 832, which is your custom, almost pretty much like a tuba that's up there, your EBC 832, and then your EBC 836, which is your 6/4. What's the difference between a EBC 832 and an EBC 836, John?
So you're looking at a 4/4 C tuba versus a 6/4 C tuba.
Okay.
You can kind of see them just in the footprint. There's a difference in height over here. A lot of it has to do with the bore size of the instrument. They're both C tubas, so there's going to be the same length of tubing to produce the pitches that you need. But the 4/4 tuba has a smaller bore. It's a more efficient tuba. It's definitely a little bit more nimble, and it's more designed to be an all-around instrument, something that you could feel comfortable playing in a concert band or a brass quintet or playing your solo literature on, as well as playing in an orchestra. And whereas the EBC 836 is definitely more of a larger ensemble instrument, but it's also very nimble for its size, and I have played it in brass quintet and solos with it as well.
Nice. So if I were to put an EBC 632 and an EBC 832 next to each other, pretty much they're going to look the same, but they're different, aren't they?
They are. So when I first started consulting with Eastman about 8 years ago now, the first project that we worked on as far as full-size instruments was the EBB 534. And that is our B-flat tuba. It's our most popular selling instrument. You sell a bunch to schools. And it's also a great instrument. Like professionals are playing it as their main instrument. But that is kind of based on a York body. And then it's more of a 4/4 size instrument. And when we built our first C tuba, we decided we were going to build it off of that body because that's something that York had done in the past. Other manufacturers have done that, and it's been successful. And we came up with our EBC 632, and it was a great instrument, and it's been our #1 selling C tuba for a long time. And it's just really popular. If you're looking for a first C tuba or a great all-around instrument, there are people in the military bands playing, people in professional orchestras playing. A lot of college professors have this instrument. It's a great instrument. I still do the vast majority of my work on the EBC 632. When we designed the 836, our 6/4 C tuba, we learned a lot about making tubas that we didn't know. And our processes got better. We learned how to treat instruments better with hand hammering and a lot of other more intricate hand time spent on the horns by the skilled artisans that are building the tubas, and that was very successful. Our 836 is, you can hear it in some of the biggest orchestras in the country these days, and so that's amazing. What we did from there is we scaled down that valve section, because that York style valve section is the most ergonomically correct valve section in my opinion. It feels very comfortable. Your hand sits where it's supposed to be, and that's one thing that I wanted to improve about the 632. It's a great tuba, but it's just a little not quite as ergonomically correct. And so I always wanted to shrink a large York valve section down to fit a smaller instrument. And so we did that. And so the 832 was born based on that idea, and then doing all of the hand work and treatments that we do on our 836 to a 632 body, and just putting a smaller York valve set on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the letter at the end of everything, whether you put an S after it, that means you're going to have a finish, a silver finish. And some of them you can put an unlacquered. And usually for the unlacquered, we put a
RB for raw brass.
Raw brass,
Yeah.
exactly. Hey, Music Man viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the link down here, and find our newest material by clicking over here. Thanks for watching.